All right, let's get into the latest news break, which is coming in all lights trained on the Maharashtra Assembly. Mega Sena verdict anytime now. Maharashtra Speaker to announce key verdict. Fate of 54 Sena MLAs hangs in balance. Verdict on disqualification of 40 Shinde MLAs. Verdict on disqualification of 14 Uddhav MLAs. Lots at stake. Will it be status quo? Uddhav faction or the UBT Shiva Sena has said that this is going to be a fixed match, because the Speaker as well as the Chief Minister met 3 days before this mega verdict. This verdict, viewers, has been hanging fire. Ultimatums given by the Supreme Court dressing down, scathing comments by the top court of the country, setting a deadline of 31st December and then finally giving a 10-day more grace period to the Speaker to come up and announce his verdict on disqualification. Mind you, in June 2022, Eknath Shinde had scripted a rebellion of sorts that changed the fortunes of the state of Maharashtra politically. And right now, at least where both factions, be it the Eknath Shinde faction or the Uddhav Thackeray faction, had approached the Speaker for disqualification, and all those petitions, 34 in all, lie in front of the Speaker to make a decision on. A lot has gone through in the course of that period, viewers. The EC interimly has now given the symbol as well as the party name to Eknath Shinde faction, which Eknath Shinde says that, listen, the EC has already called us the real Shiva Sena, and it's time that the Speaker does so as well. But there is a lacuna in that, viewers, because the Supreme Court had made it very clear that it will not be a factor of consideration of the EC decision on the decision made by none else but the Speaker, Rahul Narvekar. Also, I think what the case would rest on is if the Speaker will take into consideration the 10th schedule. Now, if he does take in consideration the 10th schedule, which the Supreme Court has said that the sanctity of the 10th schedule needs to be maintained. Well, if he does so, what does this 10th schedule really mean, viewers? 10th schedule means that any MP or any MLA, it prevents any MP or an MLA to defect from a political party on whose ticket the MLA or the MP has won from, very simply said. But indications now coming in that Mr. Rahul Narvekar might not refer to the 10th schedule, despite the Supreme Court saying the sanctity would be maintained, because there is also a legal lacuna in that. And what is that, viewers? Well, Eknath Shinde, the Chief Minister, has said that, listen, we are the real Shiva Sena. So that would mean that the 10th schedule would not be referred to. I want to quickly bring in Polumi Saha, my colleague who's tracked the ups and downs of Maharashtra politics ever since that big upheaval in June 2022. Polumi, what are the biggest factors that we are looking at right ahead of this verdict today?
Well, obviously, this verdict will, in a sense, put a lid over this entire, political saga that's played out since June 2022. It totally depends on whose favor this verdict goes. Some of our colleagues were suggesting there could be disqualifications from both sides in this case. Rahul Narvekar could, in fact, come up with a verdict which indicates certain disqualifications from the Shinde camp and certain disqualifications from the UBT camp. But it totally depends on which way the verdict is tilted, because each can then, of course, go into the elections claiming, for instance, okay, so Uddhav Thackeray at the moment, of course, if the verdict doesn't go in his favor, then he'll go to the people and he'll claim that he's been betrayed, that, this is what he, Bala Sahib's legacy has had to suffer because of traitors who clearly all got together in order to, of course, deal this blow to Uddhav Thackeray and his party, which came to power on its own might in 2019. And then, of course, the Shinde faction, if they, of course, are at the losing end of this verdict from Rahul Narvekar, of course, that doesn't damage the government in any way. The BJP still has the numbers alongside with the Ajit Pawar faction of the NCP and support of others, at least 10 others that are supporting the government. But then, of course, the Eknath Shinde faction will have to go on the ground and will have to create its own narrative to, of course, build its own election campaign ahead of the Lok Sabha, and then, of course, Maharashtra Assembly in the same year, 2024.
All right, so viewers, now what's really happening is, let's tell you the latest that is coming in. From what the Speaker might do, well, what we do know is what he said. And he said that this is going to be a benchmark verdict by the Speaker. Well, he might come from the BJP, but he says that this is going to be a benchmark verdict primarily because both factions will be satisfied. This is what the Speaker, Rahul Narvekar, says. On the other hand, you have an Uddhav Thackeray who's made it very clear that this is nothing else but a fixed match. The Speaker met Eknath Shinde 3 days before the verdict. It's like an accused meeting the judge before the final verdict of the case. And on the other hand, Eknath Shinde says, confident that, listen, we are already the real Shiva Sena. This is just a formality of sorts. But in midst of this all, Polumi, if I might bring you in with what we are getting an indication from the Speaker, and we'll cut across to our reporters as well, I believe we have them, is if the Speaker is to, if the scenario is with what he's saying, that both sides will be happy with the verdict, it's going to be a benchmark verdict. If there are disqualifications on both sides of the divide, it really doesn't tantamount too much politically, does it?
No, it doesn't, it just kind of, gives a finality and ends, like I said, the political saga that began in June 2022 when Eknath Shinde, along with 39 other MLAs of the Shiva Sena, then defected and joined hands with the Bharatiya Janata Party to form government. At that point of time, of course, NCP came on board in the year 2023. So yes, it will just basically give a closure as far as this entire case is concerned, and then of course both factions can go into the elections, first the Lok Sabha elections, and then of course the Maharashtra Assembly elections with a fresh campaign. And that is exactly the intent of the Supreme Court as well, was the intent of the Supreme Court as well, when they of course set a deadline for Rahul Narvekar to pronounce the verdict, saying, because Narvekar in the first instance, Preeti, was seeking time till the 29th of February to pronounce his verdict in the Shiva Sena defections case, the disqualification proceedings case. At that point of time, of course, Kapil Sibal, who was arguing for both the Shiva Sena faction and the NCP Sharad Pawar faction, said that that's too close to the elections. You can't be having, a judgment coming in just a month before possibly the elections are set in progress. So that is when the Supreme Court said, yes, we can't do that, and hence he will have to decide early on itself. So 10th of January was the deadline after the extension given over 31st of December, and by the 31st of January, he will have to decide on the NCP case as well.
Well, that's enough on his plate for now, but all eyes on the Speaker. Let's cut across to Ritwik Balekar outside the Maharashtra Assembly. Ritwik, 4 p.m., already 4:45, 45 minutes over when we were to expect the Speaker to come up with his decision. What's going on?